We just got back from seeing Dandadan, the Dandadan anime episodes 1 through 3, and we have some thoughts. As long-time Dandadan fans, I mean, we've been fans, not to gatekeep, you know, Dandadan is for everybody. But we've been fans of and following Dandadan since, like, the first, 20 chapters,
right?
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. And covering it on the channel in about that time as well.
Yeah.
So we've had Dandadan in our hearts for a couple years now.
Yeah, this is something we've been living with. And so we were extremely excited for this anime, extremely excited that Science Saru was going to be the studio behind it, and couldn't wait to get the chance to see it in theaters. We missed it at Anime Expo, so we were glad that we still got to see it on a big screen. So we're going to break down what we saw, give our thoughts on direction, animation, pacing, performances, everything. We're going to start spoiler-free, so if you haven't seen it, which I guess most people haven't, but if you don't know anything about the series and don't want the series spoiled for you, we're going to keep it spoiler-free for the first half, and then we will dive into spoilers during the second half for those of you who have read the manga. Starting off, we got to see a really cool behind-the-scenes featurette that showed the creator, both of the VAs for Momo and Okarun. We saw the creator and his editor and the director.
Yes.
This was so fun to see. It added a lot of context to things that I don't think either of us really knew. And it was cool to see the process, the thought process behind bringing this adaptation to screen. The director, by the way, is a madman in the best possible way.
Yeah, it's Fuga Yamashiro is the director of the series, and we got to see a lot of him. Obviously, we saw Tatsu and his editor, and they have a really fun relationship too.
They do.
We'll show some clips or pictures of what it kind of looked like, and we, like you said, so unexpected. But it was so great. I really loved it, and it definitely made me look at the couple episodes that we saw differently.
Absolutely. And the series a little differently as well.
Totally. And I urge you to maybe they'll release it on YouTube or something like that. Hopefully it's not exclusive just for this release, because it did it added that little extra touch of, when we see these things, when we're watching anime and movies and TV shows and any form of media, I think that sometimes it's easy to not forget the people that are making it, but it's easy to just see, oh, this is Dandadan. This is just an anime. There's voice actors, there's people involved, but getting to hear from them and getting to just see them talk like human beings, it definitely adds a level of understanding and care. You can tell that the director, Yamashiro, he really cares about this project.
It was some highlights from that featurette were the creator saying that the director is an otaku about directing, and even
which is funny because the series deals with otakus in their own sense of spiritual otaku, a paranormal otaku, spiritual, UAP, I just think that's funny. And he is very passionate. I mean, we were kind of tripping out because he brought out at one point this folder that he'd been keeping since he was in high school. And they're just shots. I have an idea that would be a cool shot that I can just flip and reference to if I want to use later on.
Excuse, I've heard.
Wait, is that a thing?
I've heard writers, do something similar when an idea pops in their head. It can be a fleeting thing, so they capture it on paper. They'll write it in a notes app or on a piece of paper. This man does the same thing with shots. He draws them out. Yeah, storyboard. He has little storyboard thumbnails, notebooks full of them, and some from movies that are already made. Some that were in this featurette were from Child's Play, the Chucky movie. And he's like, oh, I don't know if this will ever come in handy, but I have these visions for how these shots could look in this story. The reflection of a knife, someone looking into a knife, crazy. The guy is a madman. Again, he doesn't know if he'll ever need these things or if they'll ever be of use to him, but that is how much of a nerd he is for composition, direction, shots
specifically. And I think that is the difference between a good anime and a great anime. Like, you could have all of the elements there. You could have the VAs, you can have the, beautiful animation, but if it's not shot in a way that makes you engage, that makes you want to keep watching, then it just kind of like falls.
Yeah.
And I think that Dandadan needed a very strong director for the things that they're going to pull off in the series, because the direction in the manga is already so good. The composition of the manga is already so good. And he even mentions that too, how he wanted to keep the flavor of the manga. And I just love that term, because there is like a flavor to Dandadan. Like, it's nothing like nothing that I've ever read.
Yeah. And since we're on the topic of direction, and this might just be how we break down the different like talking points, but the direction in the entire series, or the first 3 episodes that we saw, phenomenal. But you really feel it in the first episode. Like, the first episode felt like every single shot, every single scene, every single sequence was so creative. Like, the way we were coming in and out of moments, or like,
yes,
it was just very creatively done. So by the end of it, it felt like a collection of like really cool sequences that told a really cool story.
I mean, yeah, even like the opening, which I know had been leaked online. So I had seen it, but I mean, seeing it on the big screen, I mean, freaking Nicole Kidman in that bitch.
Yeah, okay? That's the only time I ever felt like I could relate to Nicole Kidman and her little fucking monologue in the
AMC.
Yeah.
AMC, shout to AMC, sponsor us. AMC.
Shout out. They played it. Shout out.
They played it. And it was just beautiful. It was just amazing. It captures the essence of Dandadan so well. I loved the VAs. I mean, they talked in that little snippet in the beginning. And it is always funny to see and like hear from VAs, because they can be so different. I mean, obviously, as an actor, you're not the people that you're playing. You're putting on a performance, but specifically Momo's VA, she's very like cutesy, and she's like, I love Momo, and she just is a very like, just like a cutesy demure way about her. And then we get to the episode, she's like, yeah, nani, and she's really like playing into Momo, which is like this like kind of a hard ass sweet girl. And she did it so well.
They kept using Gyaru. Yeah. What does that mean like, exactly?
So, that friend that she has in the episode and that she circles around. So, like, Gyaru is like a type of, it's like originated in Japan. Heavy makeup, lashes, hair done, the chunky white socks, short skirts. It's like a style, but it's like a lifestyle. Like,
gotcha.
Like that song is like Gyaru.
Yeah.
Kawaii. Like, it's literally like they're talking about a certain type of girl, like a gyaru.
I see.
And there's different, like, it's like gyaru in general, but there's like subsets of gyaru. It's a lot. A lot. But yeah, she is a text. She is like a gyaru, and that's why it's funny, because gyaru, or like, it's kind of like that like standard like character where you're like, oh, they fit into this like category where they should, like, oh, you see like this person, they seem like they look like a badass, and then you get to know them, and it's like, oh, it's just, that's not who they are. And she is kind of that. And Okarun, if you know Dandadan, like, he's like, why are you even talking to me? Like, you look this way, like, I shouldn't even be in your world. And she's just not that type of girl. Like, she doesn't let that confine her. Even her room, like leopard print, and like, I would even say maybe like Marin from My Dress Up Darling is kind of like a gyaru as well. But yeah, it's a lot.
I bring that up because they mention it a lot in that interview, and the VA for Momo even says that she did a lot of research by like watching gyaru girls on YouTube, or like watching like girls who have like YouTube channels that would be considered like gyaru or whatever for research for the role.
Because she is not a gyaru.
Yeah.
No, like
she's very, I would say like a Western term might be like very prim and proper.
No, yeah, like very demure.
Yeah,
like she's just very like a demure woman, and she just is a very like she's just very sweet, and like she's just very cutesy, and like Gyaru's a little more rough around the edges. Like they're very like, you know, like there's a lot of examples in anime because
I know exactly. Yeah,
kind of like a delinquent. Like even the guy that she was seeing, you know, her boyfriend. Like that's like a typical like relationship.
But I thought she fit into the role of Momo.
Yes,
extremely well. I thought she really brought a range to her performance.
Loved
that I think her and Okarun both did. And I want to talk about Okarun for a second because when the trailer came out, I know you were a little on the fence about the VA because it didn't match the voice in your head. But something that was said during the interview made me extra sold on this performance. And I think by the end you were as well.
Yeah.
But it was because of that, like that range that performer had to like execute. Because again, Okarun, he can be like a very, like he could be a nerd and he can be very into whatever he's talking about. But then he can also kind of be kind of a punk.
No,
at times
exactly.
Too, you know?
I mean, the scene that we had seen, through the trailer is him being like super otaku about, you know, showing her the magazine, about the UFOs and all that shit. He was literally talking in a weird way when he first meets her, because I think it's like him putting on a like, oh, this is who you think I am, so I'm gonna be that person.
Yeah.
But by, you know, the third episode, again, the range was so good because, and they captured it so well. And they even talked about, I'm jumping around a lot because I'm trying to remember everything. But they had talked about it in the behind the scenes section where they were talking about how many genres are kind of in this show and what they wanted to focus on. And the main thing they wanted to focus on, obviously, was the relationship between Momo and Okarun. And in the manga, they are very close, and they get close so fast that you don't even really recognize how close they are until they're like on top of each other, or they're like holding hands, and it's really never made to like for a joke, or like they never really freak out because they're so comfortable around each other. And they said that they wanted to focus on like the buddy aspect of their relationship, and I think they nailed it. I mean, their chemistry is so good, and they work together so well. And they even said that in the behind the scenes, like, you can't have just Momo be the protagonist, it doesn't work. You can't have Okarun be the protagonist, it doesn't work. Like, you need the both of them to make this magic happen.
Yeah, and they both have to feel like equally the main character.
Yes.
At all times.
Yes, and they both are, I mean, just, you know, credit to Tatsu writing these characters who are like larger than life. They don't really ever have a power struggle between them because they're such strong characters. Well, and when they come together, it's like,
yeah, and them like coming together, and maybe this is like a part of the marketing for like the manga too, but I felt like it's marketed more so this way for the anime, but it's like a cult rom-com is what they're like really going for. And even so much so, and I found this extremely interesting, that the editor, when I guess the creator went to his editor and was like, hey, I'm thinking of this story. I have this idea, this occult versus like apparition, or this like alien versus apparition was
like monster versus apparition.
That's
like,
what it was.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
Like, wouldn't it be cool if they were to fight together? And he had mentioned like, yeah, he actually only wrote romance. Like, there was never any like action, I don't think, in his past previous.
The way I read that or interpreted that was that he had mentioned like wanting to include romance, and his editor was like, okay, well then here are 100 popular like romance novels or like beloved romance like manga. Read them. Like, if you want to include romance in your story, read these 100 romance. And he said, I was shocked that he read all of them. And really,
because
like,
I thought they showed a slideshow of like his previous works that were all romance.
No, I couldn't tell in the moment if that was from,
because they only showed 3 different
things that
series.
He was like inspired by, that he pulled inspiration from,
because they looked very similar to his art style.
Or that's why I say it could have also been like the different iterations of like Dandadan, or like different sort of like ideas for other stories he had before Dandadan. But I know 1000% that it was explicitly stated that the editor gave him 100 romance series, or romance manga.
That's the title of a manga in itself.
It really is.
My editor handed me 100 romance mangas to read.
Yeah, and because I remember him saying, and I was shocked that he actually read every single one of them. And so I just thought that was really cool too, as a fan of this series, and as a fan of like the relationship between Momo and Okura.
Yeah, for real.
I love that little bit of lore, behind the scenes lore.
Yeah, everything. All of the behind the scenes stuff was so fun to watch. And again, it made the episodes that much more impactful, and seeing it on the big screen, seeing it actually happen, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was like absolutely amazing. Like, they did not miss. Like, it was, it was exactly what I pictured it being. It did not miss.
At times it even exceeded that. Like, we've kind of touched on the performances. They both killed it. The main cast, Momo and Okurun, killed it. The director killed it. The animation, like, this is like the Science Saru team and studio that really brought it. Again, it's really like there throughout these 3 episodes, but like, oh my God, the first episode is a work of art. It's a masterpiece.
It really is. And even like, you could see, obviously they're talented. Science Saru is just like on another level. But there was hints of like that classic Science Saru with character movement, like jokey character movement, which I loved. There's a scene in the first episode where Momo's walking down a hallway, and she is walking kind of like, I guess, like a delinquent. She's kind of like, walking in a certain way, and she's just talking and complaining. And in that moment, I was like, oh my God, like classic Science Saru, because the fluidity, and it looks like kind of not realistic in that moment. Like, they're really pushing the boundaries of like how a person should walk, but it doesn't look necessarily like chibi. It doesn't. It's just like, that was the definition for me. I was like, oh yeah.
To the chibi point, though, it also does a great job of balancing the like really badass, like action-packed moments and those moments of silliness when they're making those like really almost sometimes like goofy Muppet faces.
There is a lot of that. There's a lot of that. And they had said, I think Tatsu said, like, I applaud like the VAs, because at one point during the end of the recording sessions, he was there like every week, and he was like, to bounce back between like being those silly moments where they're having like a very like serious conversation, and then going in and being like, so like, you don't have a dick, huh? Or it's just like going back and forth. Like, they did such a great job. He's like, I was really happy with that, and you could feel that, and it's great.
Yeah, you could 100% feel that. And there was even another moment, to go back to really quickly, conversations between the creator and the director, and it really, again, just made me appreciate the process of adapting a manga to an anime. But, he said that if there was ever anything that the director really felt passionately about adapting a certain way, that he would invite the creator in and they would have conversations about it. The director had also said something really cool. And this, I think, ties into animation and sort of even lighting a bit. He references a moment, I think, in the first chapter when Momo's walking down this hallway. And in the paneling of the manga, it's very creepy. The panels get smaller and smaller and smaller until you turn a page, and then it's a full page spread of a very eerie and scary, almost like a jump scare moment. And he said, okay, well, how do you do that in fluid animation? And he talks about sort of the logic in doing it the way he decided to do it, which was having this long hallway and playing with this light that was flickering farther and farther down until it reaches the end of the hallway and lights up these, aliens or whatever. Again, just this behind the scenes look, this care, it really made the experience so much better. It really did. They should play these things before every
I know.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I hope they do release it so that people can watch it and see it. If it's not already released, we didn't check because we literally just got back to the movie theater and we sat down and recorded. But if you didn't hear about it, if it's not released, hopefully you can get that feeling hearing us talk about it before you watch it.
Before we move on too much, because I do want to wrap up the spoiler section so we could just touch briefly on some spoiler stuff. How did you feel about the pacing and how was your like overall experience?
I had initially thought, like, of course, like, I think a lot of things have changed, like, in terms of a first episode. There's things that are happening in anime right now where you'll get an hour first episode, and I was kind of hoping for that because this whole little arc, I guess, could have been wrapped up in like an hour first episode, I feel. Because at the end of episode 3, we're not even done with that. I think because obviously it's going to go into episode 4. I should end in episode 4.
Maybe even 5.
Maybe even 5, which is kind of, I mean, we might only get 12 episodes.
No, probably 5, actually.
Yeah, we might only get 12 episodes. So I'm just interested to see if it's going to pick up like a crazy amount after this little arc, or if it's going to be kind of the same. There's a lot to cover. There is a lot to cover. They mentioned it, adapting it. It is a fast-paced anime. It is a fast-paced manga. So I was kind of anticipating it to be a little faster, but there's a lot to see. I mean, there's a lot to show. There's a lot of scenes to adapt, and that's kind of what happens when we get a 1-for-1. When there's things that aren't cut out, when there's things that are meant to be spent time on, it's gonna happen. And if it's perfect, I don't really care if it's like taking as long as it is to cover this little mini arc, because it's perfect.
Yeah,
I mean,
it doesn't. Yeah, I'll agree and say that it did feel like it was taking more episodes than I initially thought to wrap up that first initial little mini arc.
Yeah, I thought it was going to end in like, I thought the 3 episodes that they were releasing into theaters, it was going to complete that.
Same. But at the same time, I didn't feel like it wasted a moment. I didn't feel like it meandered. I didn't feel like it lingered. I felt like it was moving constantly, never really losing momentum. There was a moment in between where, because it does start so strong, you do kind of have this bit of a lull that I think is kind of needed before you're like taken.
Well, it's like that mini
on another crazy ride again.
Yeah. It's like a mini. It's not even like really training. It's just like a moment.
Right.
But yeah.
I do think that, like, the use of like lighting and color and animation. I mean, some of the shots, the transformations, the fights, the monsters, the aliens, everything looked incredible. And overall, I think the pacing did work really, really well. The only thing I would say, which this is not the anime's fault at all, is that the fact that they decided to show 3 episods as part of this like event. I loved getting to see 3 episodes, but it doesn't really end at like a really like at like a high point.
No,
it's literally
yeah, I think it's like, obviously it's not their fault, and
it's totally not the anime's fault. I just want to make that very ultra clear.
Maybe it's better marketing, because you'd be like, I need to know what happens. Like, I need to watch the rest of it. Which, like, I mean, after seeing that, I would fucking, I don't think anyone walked out of the theater being like, it was a fucking waste of time.
No.
Like, no.
But I just think that the first episode, it covers the first chapter, and it has such a beautiful ending. And the way that it ends, even like cinematically or like visually, the way that it ends is like perfect. And because the episodes that follow are covering a much larger arc, it isn't at that like 3rd act climax yet.
Right.
So the 3rd episode, it's so odd because I've never really gone to a theater to experience. This is more about the theater experience than the actual like anime. Because again, the anime and the adaptation, chef's kiss, perfect, 10 out of 10. Exceeded expectations.
Oh, and it was so amazing getting to like binge. Like,
oh yeah. But
my eyes fucking real bad. I was like,
but it's just like episode 3, just kind of like random moment or odd moment to just like end the entire theater experience on, and then the lights kind of come on, and you're just kind of like, oh,
no, bro.
Okay.
The lights came on. I don't know what happened, but the lights came on like probably 20 minutes into the last episode. So like we're just like, oh, okay, I guess this
before
is
the
just
episode was even over,
like on.
Yeah.
And then they played the ending, and then there was like an after credit like song. After the ED, there was like a little extra scene, which some animes do to set up the next episode. to give you a little bit more. But I mean, yeah, I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
I want to binge it all. I don't want to wait week to week because that was an amazing experience watching it back to back to back. And also Momo's grandma, amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone is so amazing, and I cannot wait to meet more characters. I cannot wait to get them into the series, and I cannot wait for season 2 already.
Season 1's not even out.
I'm telling you, it was like a 1-for-1.
It really was. And again, the OPED, just to touch on that, and overall experience for me. I mean, the OPED is cute. Love the ED, but the OP makes my fucking
I don't know what
bro. It makes my head spin. It made the first time I ever saw it, and it unfortunately did leak, and I should not have watched it on
Shame
Twitter.
on you.
But I didn't watch any of the episodes.
No, shame. I'm just kidding. Yeah, that was crazy.
That was crazy. I just watched the OP because I couldn't fucking help myself. Mm-hmm. But like you said, seeing it on the big screen, my eyes were melting. My brain was coming out of my ears.
Bro, I know.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
I literally turned and I was like, this looks too good. Like, this looks so good. Like, it looks so good. The fact that they made like an original song, I think it's the same people that did the Mashal OP, the bling 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 bling
awesome.
bling. So that's like already like goated. The person,
like,
I think they literally made a song, and then like it's like really crazy, like it really like colorful and bright and everything, and then it just cuts to like amazing visuals of like their town, and it slows down a little bit. And it just made me so emotional. It was so amazing to see that on a screen that big. Like, I loved it.
I'll be honest, I'm not even capping, exaggerating. I felt myself starting to tear up.
No, literally at that moment I was like, it's beautiful.
Because I don't know. I really could not believe what I was seeing at the level I was seeing it.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever really felt what I felt in that moment.
No, I mean, it was kind of like, again, we were Chainsaw Man fans before the anime came out, reading the manga, and seeing that trailer for the first time, like, was pretty emotional. Seeing that anime, I was like, I can't believe I'm seeing this. I can't believe this is what it is. I will say though that the Chainsaw Man anime is great. It was awesome, but it did not capture the flavor, like the director said, of the source material all that well. Dandadan, again, like I'm telling you, it was like a 1-for-1. Like the flavor was there. It was like perfect. You know that fucking, oh my god, what is that meme? I forgot who says it. He's like, it was perfect down to the minuscule details. Fuck, who says it's gonna drive me crazy? Fuck, why did I bring it up?
Someone let you know. Perfect. Please, someone let her know.
It was perfect. Please. Down to the minute, whatever. I'll look it up. I'll insert it. Jesus Christ. But like it was beautiful. It was awesome seeing, all the cast, Denji and all these people that we had read and gotten close to, seeing them animated and fights and all that was cool. It just did not have the juice that Dandadan has, and I think people are going to feel that.
Yep, 100%. I think that Science Saru had a really hard job adapting this anime because of how visually stunning the manga itself is, how the manga itself already kind of feels like an anime in how it's drawn.
Yeah.
They had a monumental task to accomplish, and I would say humbly, as a humble fan, that they exceeded. They exceeded my expectations. They knocked it out of the park. They absolutely killed it. It was incredible, and we only got a taste. I cannot wait to see the rest.
Me too. It was amazing.
I don't know as far as like spoilers go. I don't really like have like a lot of like crazy spoiler thoughts.
Yeah, me either.
I was gonna maybe just say it's not something that you would need to tune out for. But in case anybody was curious, I was just thinking maybe about saying where the last episode left off on.
Oh, sure. I mean, the last episode ends on, if you are familiar with the manga.
So just minor spoilers. This is all the spoiler talk that I think there will be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
If you're, I mean, it's really not really a spoiler. It's not like a character reveal or anything like that, but it's like they are on the train getting ready to confront Turbo Granny for the second time. Going to meet her at her fucking the hall or
at her tunnel.
At her tunnel. And Momo took off the like
traditional garb.
She's like, I'm more, in my clothes, I'm more comfortable. And yeah, I mean, that's literally where it ends.
Yeah. It felt like, and again, spoilers, it felt like the first episode is just the pilot, that like initial, it was really just the first chapter. The second episode is that sumo fight. You know what I'm talking about if you read the manga. And then the third episode is meeting the grandma, getting a bit of training. Yeah, Psycho, a bit of training.
Bit like how it is.
Yeah, you know how it goes. You know how it goes. It gets interrupted. Then they have to get on their train. But the third episode ends like before they even get to the tunnel to have that interaction. So that's why we say it could be 4 to maybe even 5, but maybe 4.
I would think 4. Yeah. I would think 4. I think they'll wrap it up in 4. Because it needs to be wrapped up because the payoff is so good. When you kind of understand why this is happening or why like Turbo Granny is the way that she is, it needs to be the end of the episode.
Yeah.
To conclude it all. I don't think they would like end that moment mid episode and then like go on to something else. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about watching it again and like, I think I've reread like the first volume.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think I have. I forgot why, but I did. And it's a 1-for-1. I mean, it's very much like if you're on the fence still, if you're here, because this is kind of like we're done with spoilers. If you like early Bleach, if you like even JJK, and you like romance and you like comedy, I mean, this is like the series for you.
It's very funny, by the way. Very
funny. And they fucking nailed it with the comedy.
Yeah.
I was very interested how they were going to do that. How they were going to be able to pay homage, like not pay homage, but like adapt it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the VAs are fucking lit. They're awesome. Everything was awesome. I know we said that like so many times, but it literally was like perfect. Like it was fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Like 10 out of 10.
Also, I do want to mention here at the very, very end that we will be reacting to the anime as it comes out. Because of our crazy schedule, we have another channel, Volume 1 Plus, where we react to more classic anime, older anime. So because of that and things that we are doing here on this channel, I don't know that we'll be able to react to it. We've kind of already talked about it. And I don't think we're going to be able to react to it every single week.
But we do it, like, we'll let 2 episodes. We'll do, we already did 3 technically here. So we're going to start on 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And we let them, like, build up in 2s.
Yeah, we'll do them in 2s. Yeah, exactly. So subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed yet. If you're a Dandadan
head,
if you're a Dandadan fan, we have a backlog of manga arc reviews.
We do. Don't hate us because we're not caught up yet.
Yeah, we're one, I think, kind of arc behind.
Yeah, don't hate us.
Yeah, we're a mini arc and a major arc behind.
But we have covered everything that is going to be shown in the anime season 1. That's true.
That's a fact.
That's actually a fact. So if you want to catch up on the mangas, you can go to our channel and catch up with us.
Yeah, or you can hang out with us and watch it with us as we react to it.
You can do that too.
But that's going to do it.
Do that.
For this review of the first 3 episodes. If you got a chance to see it already, whether it was in theaters, at Anime Expo, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. But let us know, even if you haven't seen it, like what you're looking forward to. If there's anything that we didn't like answer, like a question that you have that we didn't answer or talk about, shoot those off in the comments down below, and we'll try to answer those questions. But that's going to do it. The only thing left to do now is get out of here on our outro. That's always the same. and never changes, which today, Megan, is
Dandadan, Give me your banana.
Give me your banana. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, for hanging out with us. And until next time, give me your banana.
Give it to me. I need it. No, for real, I need it.
It's hard to keep that up. It's hard.
I don't think you're even saying it right.
I am. Thank you.